The silence of the Vance estate was heavy, built over decades of high society expectations, grand marble halls, and absolute emotional detachment. On the day Lucas turned 18, his father, Arthur, signed off on the young Alpha's enrollment at the premier military academy overseas. It was an elite milestone for the Vance bloodline. But for Isaac, the Omega who had endured 19 years of a transactional marriage, it was the final chime of a long-awaited clock. They had been bound by a 99.8% genetic compatibility match, a clinical verdict that forced two total strangers into a bond of convenience. Arthur needed a high-match Omega to produce a strong heir. Isaac had been coerced by his family's debt. For nearly 2 decades, Isaac was treated like a glorified caretaker. Arthur spoke to him only regarding family logistics, and Lucas, raised entirely by tutors and his father's rigid influence, had learned to view Isaac not as a mother, but as a background presence he could dismiss without thought. When the clock struck midnight after Lucas's birthday dinner, Isaac laid a signed divorce agreement on Arthur's desk. Arthur didn't even look up from his tablet at first. "What is this, Isaac?" "My release," Isaac said, his voice quiet but free of any hesitation. "Lucas is an adult now. My obligation to the Vance family is finished." Arthur frowned, his sharp alpha aura flaring in annoyance. "Don't be dramatic. You have everything here: wealth, status, security. Where would you even go?" "Anywhere you are not," Isaac replied softly. He took a single duffel bag containing his original sketches, a few changes of clothes, and his personal savings. He left the diamond ring on the mahogany desk and walked out into the rain, never looking back. Isaac took a train to the farthest stop on the map. Whispering Cove, a small fishing village nestled between pine forests and a misty ocean. There, he used his modest savings to rent a small, sunlit wooden cottage right on the edge of the beach. For the first month, Isaac simply listened to the waves, slowly unlearning the hypervigilance of his former life. On a windy afternoon while gathering tide pool stones, he noticed a young boy huddling under the pier, shivering in a worn denim jacket. The child couldn't have been more than 6. He was an orphan named Noah who had escaped a harsh foster group home nearby, surviving on discarded bread from the local docks. Isaac didn't chase him or call the local authorities. Instead, he sat on a nearby rock, pulled out a thermal flask of sweet honey milk, and poured a cup, letting the steam carry its warm scent toward the pier. "It's too cold for the beach today," Isaac said gently to the air. "I made extra. Would you like some?" Noah peeked out from behind a wooden pillar, his big brown eyes terrified yet desperate. Slowly, step by step, he approached. When Isaac handed him the warm cup, Noah drank it so fast he coughed. "Slowly, little mouse." Isaac laughed. A soft, musical sound that felt entirely new in his own chest. "Come inside. The cottage has a real fireplace." That night marked the beginning of their life together. Within 6 months, the legal paperwork went through, and Noah officially became Isaac's son. Unlike the cold, pristine mansion where Isaac was forbidden from spoiling Lucas, here he poured every ounce of his suppressed love into Noah. He taught Noah how to paint, built makeshift sandcastles at sunrise, and held him tight whenever bad dreams intruded. Noah flourished, growing into a bright, affectionate child who attached himself to Isaac's side like a little shadow. "Papa," Noah asked one evening while lying on the rug, drawing a picture of their cottage, "will we stay here forever?" Isaac leaned down, brushing back Noah's soft curls. "As long as you want to, my love." Noah smiled brightly, pressing his face into Isaac's knee. "Then I want forever." For years passed like a sweet dream. One foggy morning, a luxury black sedan ground to a halt along the gravel driveway of the cottage. Lucas, now 22 and a decorated graduate, stepped out into the damp air alongside Arthur. The 4 years had been a brutal awakening for both alphas. Without Isaac's quiet presence, the grand Vance estate had turned into a cold, hollow museum. Arthur realized too late that the peace he took for granted was entirely Isaac's doing. Meanwhile, Lucas had entered the real world only to realize how deeply he regretted ignoring the only person who had ever truly cared for his well-being without expecting military perfection in return. They had spent 2 relentless years searching for Isaac, desperate to bring him back and rebuild their shattered home. As they approached the wooden porch, the front door flew open. Noah came running out, wearing a pair of bright yellow rain boots and holding a bucket of seashells. "Papa, look, the tide left big ones today." Isaac stepped onto the porch right behind him, wearing an oversized knit sweater, his face flushed with warm life. He laughed aloud, a joyful, unreserved sound that struck Arthur like a physical blow. Isaac caught Noah mid-stride, lifting the laughing boy into the air and spinning him around before peppering his cheeks with kisses. "You found a treasure, Noah," Isaac giggled, setting the boy down and wiping a streak of sand from Noah's nose. "Let's clean them for the windowsill." "I love you, Papa," Noah cheered, hugging Isaac's waist tightly. "I love you more, my sweet boy," Isaac murmured, wrapping his arms around him in total contentment. Standing at the wooden gate, Lucas felt his chest tighten so hard he could barely breathe. He had spent his whole childhood craving that kind of warmth, yet he had actively pushed it away to imitate his father's cold pride. Seeing a complete stranger, an orphan boy, receiving the love, kisses, and radiant smiles he had discarded broke something deep within him. "Father!" Lucas choked out, stepping forward. Isaac turned. The bright, luminous warmth on his face instantly vanished, replaced by an even, polite, and completely detached calm. "Arthur." "Lucas," Isaac said, his tone perfectly civil. "You shouldn't have driven all this way." Arthur took a step closer, his commanding alpha posture crumbling into desperation. "Isaac, please. The house. It's not a home without you. We were wrong. I was blind. We came to ask you to come back." Lucas looked at Isaac with tears brimming in his eyes. "Dad, please. I was stupid. I didn't see what I had until you left. Please give us a chance to fix this. I want my father back." Isaac looked at his biological son, seeing the genuine pain in Lucas's eyes. But he felt no pull, no lingering grief, and no desire to return to a place that had starved him for 19 years. He felt Noah's small hand slip into his fingers, gripping him securely. "You have your path, Lucas," Isaac said softly, his voice firm and unwavering. "And I have mine. I gave 18 years of my life to ensure you grew up safe and provided for. My duty to you and your father ended the night I signed those papers." "Dad, don't say that," Lucas whispered, a tear escaping down his cheek as he watched Noah pull Isaac's hand protectively toward himself. "I don't hold any hatred toward either of you," Isaac added with a calm, gentle smile that marked a permanent boundary. "Holding anger takes energy, and I need all of mine for my son. Goodbye, Arthur. Goodbye, Lucas." Isaac picked up Noah's shell bucket, took the young boy by the hand, and walked back inside, closing the sturdy wooden door with a soft, final click. Outside on the misty path, Lucas stood weeping silently into his hands, while Arthur stared at the closed door in hollow defeat. From inside the cottage, the faint sound of Isaac softly singing a lullaby to Noah drifted out over the sound of the ocean, leaving the 2 alphas to walk away into the cold fog alone. The heavy oak door stayed shut, but the quiet click of its latch echoed in Lucas's mind for years to come. Outside on the misty cliff path, Arthur finally placed a heavy, trembling hand on his son's shoulder. For the first time in his life, the proud, unyielding alpha looked broken. "Come on, son," Arthur said softly, his voice hollow. "We've taken enough from him." Lucas wiped his eyes, taking one last look at the warm yellow light glowing through the cottage window. He saw the faint silhouette of his father sitting by the fireplace, setting colored stones on the windowsill with a little boy whose laughter drifted gently through the glass. Lucas knew then that no amount of apologies could rewrite 19 years of cold indifference. The 2 alphas turned around, got back into their car, and drove away into the fog. Inside the cottage, the ocean wind hummed against the eaves, but the hearth burned bright and warm. Isaac sat on the soft rug, pulling a freshly baked loaf of cinnamon bread from the stove. The scent filled the small living room with the comforting sweetness of home. Noah skipped over, holding a wooden picture frame he had spent the last hour decorating with polished sea glass and tiny white shells. "Look, Papa!" Noah beamed, holding it up proudly. Inside the frame was a crude, colorful crayon drawing of two figures holding hands under a big yellow sun next to a cozy red-roofed house. "It's us. I put the blue shells on the side because the sea keeps us safe." Isaac felt a deep, overwhelming warmth flood his chest, a feeling so vibrant and rich it completely washed away the ghost of his past. He took the frame, gazing at the bright scribbles, and brought Noah into a tight, lingering embrace. "It's the most beautiful painting I've ever seen, my little mouse," Isaac whispered, pressing a soft kiss against the top of Noah's curly head. "Will the tall strangers ever come back?" Noah asked quietly, resting his chin on Isaac's shoulder. Isaac set the frame down on the mantelpiece, right beside their collection of driftwood and ocean treasures. He looked down into Noah's wide, trusting eyes and smiled. A genuine, radiant smile full of absolute peace. "No, sweetie," Isaac said gently, taking Noah's small hand in his. "They have their journey, and we have ours. Nobody is ever going to disrupt our home again." Noah's face lit up with a wide, bright grin. "Good, because we have to finish our sandcastle tomorrow before the high tide comes." "It's a deal," Isaac laughed softly. That night, as the tide rolled softly onto the shore and the stars emerged over Whispering Cove, Isaac tucked Noah into bed, listening to the child's steady, peaceful breathing. He stood on the porch for a moment, breathing in the crisp, salty air of the ocean. He was no longer a phantom in a cold marble estate. He was an Omega who had reclaimed his life, built a home out of pure love, and found the family he had always deserved.